Hello and welcome to this command tutorial. Today we're going to go over something that I've been working on as a bigger project for quite a while now. It's a system that allows for you to create leaderboards and scoreboards for players that aren't currently online, which is a big deal because, as you can see on the right side of the screen here, players that aren't online just show up as player offline instead of their name. I currently have my alt account and my account on right now, so you can see my name and my alt account's name, and I have another alt account that is not currently online, and instead of showing up as their name, it just says player offline. So real quick, I'll give a show of how it works. The player does have to be online while it's active though, so I'm quickly going to show the scoreboard here. There you go. There's my leaderboard, and there's the first place, a second place, a third place, and my time. So currently everyone is set to just 99999 all across the board, which isn't going to show up on the leaderboard because that's an overload. That's just designed to be the base so that we can work with it later. So real quick, I'm going to add all these times on. We're going to change not Stormstar to that. So we just gave them values of 245, just random numbers. And if we press this again, we'll see that not Stormstar is now on the leaderboard with a time of 2 hours, 45 minutes, 10 seconds, and 35 milliseconds. And my rank is still down below, and there's not a second place. And if, once again, we decide to press the scoreboard button, bam, you can see that now Carrots has a better time than not Stormstar did at 2 hours, 10 minutes, 0 seconds, and 20 milliseconds, pushing down not Stormstar to second place. I still am down at 9999 because I don't have a score in yet. And then if we change my score here to be another random set of numbers, we press it again, and bam, now I am number 1 on the leaderboard, and Carrots is number 2, not Stormstar is number 3, and it shows my time down at the bottom as well. And then just to show you that it does work with players offline, even though Carrots has already left, we're just going to log out not Stormstar as well. There we go. So now it's just me online, no other players, and you see on the side 2 players offline. We run the command, and it still works exactly as it did before, showing all of our times, even though I'm the only one online. So the way this works is kind of cheeky. We're basically making players in place of the players before. What I mean by that is we've got this little system right here that is going to summon cats, and then it's going to assign a unique value to the cats that matches that of the player. So you see up in the tab here, there's 2 for each one of the milliseconds. Actually, we have the same milliseconds twice, so let's change the scoreboard. There we go. So all 3 of the players have 1 value, and then they have an entity that matches it. Entities always show up as a odd string of numbers on the scoreboard because their names don't matter, but they have the same value. And so when they spawn in, this will summon a cat here, and then it assigns them a unique value that matches them to that, which we'll go over in a second. And then it tags me with has cat, so I can't summon another cat. You'll see right here. All of the stuff happens, but no cat spawns because I already have a cat, and that would mess up the system if I had multiple cats. It would probably just show things up twice, which would look messy. And then just gives name tag, tells players what to do, and then gives me a level so that I can enchant. With the system over here, I have an anvil already in place so that players could immediately do so. And what the name tag is for the name purposes. So you see here, up with our actual leaderboards, the player names or usernames actually are just the names of the cats. So our cats, which are right here in our cold storage, are named us. So I have a cat that's named me and has a unique ID that matches only me and the cat, which is how we compare them. And so in basics, we're going to take my score, which with these buttons, what I was doing is I was giving the players a new score. And then this machine here gives the score from the player to the cat with the same ID as them. And then this machine just runs through a bunch of tests to see who has the which cat has the highest score. And since the cats are always online, and since this is a ticking area, These cats will always be loaded, which means that we can always run functions off of them, even if players aren't online. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a better way. I've tried to look for ones, but this does require players to do a little bit of setup beforehand, but as soon as they do that, we can run anything we want off of these cats as if they're players, as long as we have them have identical scores to that of the normal player. So now that we have the general idea of what's going on, let's get into the nitty-gritty commands. So to start, we're going to go over the unique system, so what gives the player a unique ID. This is a very simple system. Right here, you can see it's just called unique scoreboard, and very, very simple, just 2 command blocks here. All that it does is that we've got a scoreboard called unique. So if I show you, here's the scoreboard on the side. And you see I have a value of 1, then Not Storm Store has a value of 2, and Carrots has a value of 3. And it will just keep going on. So here's the unique scoreboard. And when a player joins, they won't have a score on the scoreboard, so they don't fit into this category. So unless entity add scores equal unique for 0 or larger, well, since they don't have a score, they won't fit into that category, so it will run as themselves, and it will scoreboard players operation add s unique equals hashtag unique unique. And so what this means is that the new player who doesn't have a score yet, their score for unique is going to get changed and set to that of the hashtag unique fake player score. And that fake player that we've added just by /scoreboard players add or players set, and then we just set the number to, and that's the player, that's just a fake player. It sets up as if it's a normal player, but it doesn't. And the hashtag in the name is just so that it doesn't mistaken, like if a player with the name unique joined, they won't get triggered in a weird way with this. And also in this way, the hashtag makes it so it doesn't come up in this sidebar area. It's kind of just a unique little feature. And then this player gets their score added up by 1. So every time a new player joins, they get their score set, and then the template gets moved up by 1. And then when a new player joins, that's their score, and then the template gets moved up by 1. So each player gets set with a unique ID. Next, what we do is over here, when we spawn in the rabbit, the cat gets set its unique score to that of the nearest player. So just the player who's running the command right here, their scores become linked. And now you have 2 entities with that unique tag, and so the player has their cat, which is linked, and then they name it just to complete that little bond. Here is where the first part of the magic happens. This machine right here, which is going back and forth very, very fast, basically what it's doing is it's matching the scores of the player to that of the cat. So this is just a basic system that selects one entity at a time and then runs commands off of them. So what we're doing here is we're selecting a random player without the tag copy to cat. That will be important later. And we're going to add the tag copy to cat. And that's just the tag that we know that we're going to select with for the rest of this machine. So then for the next command, we're executing as all entities type equals cat. So off of each cat is going to run the following command. If their score is equivalent to that of the player whose tag has copy to cat, so whoever has been chosen by this machine, if their unique tags match, then they're going to then set their hours score to be equal to that of the player whose score they match. So the unique player and the unique cat, who have the same values, then have their hours score matched. And then they do the same thing for minutes, and then they do the same thing for seconds, and then they do the same thing for the millisecond scoreboard, because those are 4 different scoreboards. And then at the very end here, we just have that we're going to add copied to cat, which just means that anyone who's selected by this once won't be selected by it again, which allows the add-r to be more useful because it's not redundant, it's not getting the same person over and over again. And then this last one's just going to remove the tag copy to cat so that the machine can start again. And then all of this is run every tick, which means that with a TPS of 20, you can process 20 players like this every second, which is more than necessary. And then what this last thing does is the comparator and the torch just removes copied to cat. So when there are no longer any players that this can apply to, the comparator turns off, and then everyone gets copied to cat removed from them, and the machine starts over all again. Just a side note, the reason why I have the sea lantern here, and you'll see over here I have the sea lanterns all over, it's just for lag reasons, because redstone torches emit light, and light updates are incredibly laggy. So just to prevent lag, I have a light source that is a constant so that the torch updating, turning on and off, doesn't actually affect any light levels. Alright, so now we have a score that the player and the cat, their unique cat, matches. So now we can just execute functions entirely off of the cat because it's pretty much just the player. And so now the player doesn't need to be online. If they are, it doesn't matter, but if they aren't, it also doesn't matter because there's the cat. So then what this button right here is doing is this is the one that's going to give me the leaderboard on the side here. And tag at P, just add full run leaderboard. That's all I'm doing, is I'm just adding myself a tag. And then this beast has to come in. So first we just need to start it. The reason why I have this comparator set up here and this command that's just testing for players that have full run leaderboard is this is a lot of commands, and also for lag reasons you don't want all of these commands to be running every single tick. So instead what we're doing is we only run this command once a player with the full run leaderboard tag gets put in. So we start. And I'm not going to show you all these commands because a lot of them are redundant. They just are the exact same thing copied over and over again, because I have, with my leaderboard system, I have 4 unique scoreboards that all go together. But this also works if you only have one leaderboard and you just want to show that on the side. So we're going to start by creating a first place fake player for the hour 0 PB. So for that scoreboard, we're just going to make a fake player that's name is first place with the $ symbol, just again so that it doesn't mimic an actual player that might join that for some reason has the name first place. And then we're going to set their score to 100, because 100 is a theoretical maximum, because really whose time is going to be more than 100 hours. If they do so, then they deserve to break the system, I guess. If you want to be safe, you could set it higher, or you can change it however you need. This also works in the reverse direction, where you can set it very low and then work your way up. Then we're going to execute as all entities type equals cat. So again, every cat will run this command separately. They're going to test for if the first place is less than them. If the first place has a larger score than the cats do, then the first place gets equaled to the cat score. The first place starts at 100, and if one of the cats has a score of 45, then the first place gets set down to 45. But since we're running this on every single cat, if one of the cats has 75, it'll set it to 75, but then there's also a cat that has 45, and it sets it to 45. And then if there's another cat that has 55, well then 55 is greater than 45, so it won't do anything. But one that has 20 will change it down to 20. So this way you're selecting for the lowest possible score in hours. And then whichever cats have the same score as first place, which means that they are the ones that set them to the lowest number, because that means that they are the lowest score in the hours, then are the only ones who don't get the tag not first. Everyone else gets tagged as they're not first, so we know that they are not the first place. They're not the lowest score possible. And that's pretty much all. These 3 command blocks, that does everything that you need to know. Because now you've found the player with the lowest score. They're just the cat that does not have the tag not first. But we're going to continue because we have multiple other things to do. So then we do the same thing. We set first place then to the minutes personal best. And we do the exact same thing there where we test to see who has the lowest score. But this time we're only testing on cats that already don't have the tag not first. And what that means is that this way we're not using extra resources, because if a cat has, say, an hour score of 2 hours, and the top score has a score of 1 hour, we don't care what the minutes value is, because 2 hours is already greater than 1 hour, so we can get all the 2 hours out of the question. So we're selecting from the highest value, so the hours, and then we test for minutes, and then we test for seconds, and then we test for milliseconds. So we get the player with the score of the lowest in every single one of them, just by selecting by not first. And so we do the same thing all the way up to the end here. And then at the very end, all we do is we reset the first place. So that one fake player with first place gets all of their scores reset in all of the different scoreboards. So we're ready to start this command again. And then what the two more pillars do, they just do the exact same thing, but then they test for second place. And they go through and test only the cats that already have the tag not first. So the cats that they're not the first place, okay, well, are they the second place? So now we run through and we test to see who has the lowest score of the people who aren't first place. And once we find them, then we reset the scores and we try again with third place. And that eventually gets us to this. So we can have a first place, a second place, and a third place on the scoreboard that we select for. And since this redoes it every time, if there's a change in the scoreboard, if some player passes someone, that will immediately update. Or if, say, I were to reset my scores and they would go back to the 999, then I would be removed from the scoreboard. So actually, real quick, I will do that. So I set all my scores to -1, and they should then get set to 999 because of a different system I have over here, which I might go over in a different video. But really all that we should see is that from the score that I had before of 1 hour, 57 minutes, 10 seconds, 35 milliseconds, I now am back to 999, and Carrots moved back up on the leaderboard to first place because they're now first place, and third place is open now, and I'm back to all the 9s, which is exactly what we wanted to see. So now at the end of third place, we're just finishing up with the last commands, and we're going to make sure that all of the cats that don't have the tag not first, so just the cat who is first place, the one who has first place, we're just adding not second to them, and then we're also adding not third to them because they didn't get it earlier because they were already excluded from things, and then not second gets not third, and this just makes it so that the only cat who doesn't have the not first tag is the first place tag. The only cat who doesn't have the not second tag is the second place. And the only cat who does not have the not third tag is the third place. Lastly, we're just going to set the block down here to redstone. The reason why I have this in place instead of just a normal chain, I just made all of these commands to the side and I added them second, and I didn't want to flip them upside down because I'd have to rewrite them because structure blocks don't go upside down, and I was feeling lazy because these are very long commands. So I just have this. This is unnecessary if you're typing it all out, but basically this is just a simple, you send the signal down, this sets that to stone after it goes to redstone block and triggers all of these. Now, as you can already see on this side of my screen, this is the very, very long commands. These are what are actually telling me the leaderboard things. So I'm going to go over them as quickly as I can, but it might be a little bit lengthy. So here we go. Here's our first command. So it's just a simple tell raw. So we're going to be telling all of the players that have the full run leaderboard tag. So anyone who wants to see the leaderboard. And we're just going to tell them first a text, just full run, then \n to go down a level, and then 1. So first we do the selector, which is all entities type equals cat, tag equals not first. So this is the first place cat, and this one will show the name. So our first place cat here is named Carrot on a Stick, 12, so that's what this gets set to. And then we put a space text just for aesthetics. And then we start putting in the scores. So first we're going to put in the score for all entities type equals. So for the first place cat, we're going to put in the objectives for hours. And then we text with just the colon. Then we do the same thing for minutes, and then another colon. And then we do the same thing for seconds, colon, and then milliseconds after a period. So that's all in here. That does the first place in. Then the second one does the exact same thing. It just does 2, and then all of this, which is just the same thing, but it's only testing for the second place. And then we do the same thing with the third place. So with our original scores here, we see number 1, number 2, and then number 3 is put in. And then fourth here, we put a space with the /n, and then we just tell our rank. So we do selector, as this little asterisk. That means that it'll do, the selector is the player with the tag full run leaderboard. So whoever runs this then sees their own score there, and then it just does all the same things so they can see all of theirs. So they don't even need to be on the leaderboard to be able to see what their score is. And then these last commands are just setting things back up for the next time. That's the one we already did. This one removes tag full run leaderboard for everyone, so no one has that tag anymore. Then we're going to remove not first from everyone, then we're going to remove not second, and then we're going to remove not third. So we're reset, all ready to go for the next run. And yeah, that's basically the entire system. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'll be happy to answer them. And one last thing is that the resource that I used for a lot of these command ideas is the Minecraft command Reddit. The frequently asked questions section is incredibly useful. They have a lot of really useful tidbits, but then also the moderators and the community on there is always happy to answer questions and help out if you have a question about anything related to commands. So that'll do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and were able to figure out a kind of different way of doing scoreboards, even though it was a little bit long. I'm sorry this went on for more than expected, but there's a lot of different commands in here. So thank you for watching, as always, and I hope to see you in the next one.